When does a student stop being a student? Not when they learn everything the teacher knows. That is just accumulation. Not when they can perform every technique perfectly. That is just imitation. Not even when they surpass the teacher in skill. That is just progression. A student stops being a student when they no longer need to prove anything. When they return to their teacher, not to demonstrate how far they have come, but to remember where they began. When they bow with the same humility they had on their first day, even though they could now defeat anyone in the room. When winning becomes irrelevant because learning has become everything. This is a story about that moment. About a student who became the most famous martial artist in the world, returning to the small apartment of the old man who first taught him to fight. About the words that passed between them. About 10 seconds that transformed a hierarchy into an equality. This story is real. Bruce Lee did study under Ip Man in Hong Kong. This is documented history. They trained together for years before Bruce left for America. And Bruce did return to visit his master multiple times before Ip Man's death in 1972. What words were spoken during those visits? What lessons were exchanged? History recorded some of it. The rest lives in the space between documentation and truth. Come with me to Hong Kong, 1971. Come watch the dragon return to the man who first taught him to breathe fire. The apartment was small. Bruce Lee stood in the doorway, looking at a space that seemed to have shrunk since he left. Or perhaps he had grown. Perhaps America and Hollywood and fame had expanded him in ways that made everything from before feel smaller. The furniture was simple. The walls were bare except for a few photographs and a wooden dummy in the corner. The same dummy Bruce had practiced on as a teenager, its surface worn smooth by thousands of strikes from students who had come and gone over decades. And sitting in a chair by the window, watching the street below, was the man who had started everything. Ip Man was 78 years old. His body had thinned with age, his movements slower than Bruce remembered. But his eyes, those eyes that could see through any defense, any pretense, any mask, those had not changed at all. Sifu. Bruce bowed, not the casual bow of equals meeting, but the deep bow of a student greeting his master. The same bow he had given on his first day of training, when he was 13 years old and desperate to learn how to stop being bullied. Ip Man turned from the window. His face showed nothing. Not surprise at the visit, not pride in his famous student, not any of the emotions that others displayed when Bruce Lee entered a room. You have come back. I have never left, Sifu. Not really. And yet you are different. Bigger. Faster. A slight smile. More famous. Bruce straightened from his bow. The world sees what it wants to see. I am still the boy who could not do a proper punch when I first walked through your door. That boy could not do many things. But he had something more important than skill. What was that? Hunger. Not to win. To learn. Ip Man gestured to a chair. Seat. Tell me why you are here. And do not say it is just to visit an old man. You want something. If this directness is landing for you, if you sense that something important is about to be exchanged, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Because what happens next is the moment when a legend became human again. Bruce sat. The chair was lower than Ip Man's, and he found himself looking up at his master, a physical reminder of hierarchy that had never really changed, no matter how famous the student became. I want to train with you again. Train. Ip Man raised an eyebrow. You have created your own system. J'ai connu. You teach students across the world. You're making films that will change how everyone sees martial arts. What could I possibly teach you? Everything. Nothing. I do not know. Bruce leaned forward, and something in his expression shifted. The movie star disappeared. The confident fighter disappeared. What remained was younger, more uncertain, more honest. Sifu. I have spent years building something new, taking what you taught me and combining it with everything else I could find. I have students who think I have all the answers. I have critics who think I have betrayed tradition. I have fans who think I am invincible. He paused, and his voice dropped. But when I close my eyes at night, I am still the boy in your training hall. Still learning. Still unsure. Still hungry for something I cannot name. Ip Man was silent for a long moment. Outside, the sounds of Hong Kong drifted through the window. Traffic, voices, the endless noise of a city that never stopped moving. What do you want from our training? If we train, I do not want to win. I do not want to prove that my way is better than your way. I do not want to show you what I have learned or demonstrate how far I have come. Bruce stood and moved to the center of the small room. He settled into a Wing Chun stance, the first stance Ip Man had ever taught him, the foundation of everything that followed. I want you to teach me, like you taught me when I was 13, like I know nothing. Because the truth is, Sifu, the more I learn, the more I realize how much I do not know. And there is no one else in the world I can say that to. Ip Man studied his student, his famous student, the man who had taken Wing Chun to the world, who had transformed it into something new, who had become a symbol that would outlast them both. And he saw what he had always seen, the hungry boy, the one who wanted to learn more than he wanted to win. Cool, mate. Ip Man stood slowly, his aged body protesting the movement. He walked to the center of the room and faced Bruce, settling into the same stance his student held. Attack me. Bruce hesitated. Sifu, I do not want to. You said you did not come to win. Prove it. Attack me without trying to defeat me. Move without ambition. Let go of everything you have built and become empty again. Bruce breathed deeply. This was harder than it sounded. Years of training, of competing, of proving himself. All of it created patterns that were difficult to release. The instinct to win was woven into every movement he made. But he tried. He threw a punch. Not his fastest, not his most powerful. A punch that was pure movement, pure intention, without any goal attached to it. Ip Man redirected it with a touch so light that Bruce barely felt the contact. The punch went nowhere, accomplished nothing, disappeared into emptiness. Again, Bruce attacked again, and again. Each time, Ip Man neutralized the movement with minimal effort. Not because Bruce was holding back. He was not. But because he was attacking without agenda, and attacks without agenda have no force. 10 seconds of exchange. 10 seconds of pure movement, pure response, pure connection. And then something shifted. Bruce stopped attacking. He stood still, his hands dropping to his sides, his breath coming fast but not from exertion. From something else. Recognition. I feel it, he whispered. What you always tried to teach me. The emptiness. The response without intention. I have been chasing it for years, trying to build it into my system, trying to teach it to others. But I never actually felt it until now. Ip Man lowered his hands, and for the first time, his expression changed. A warmth entered his eyes that Bruce had never seen before. Do you know why? No, Sifu. Because you finally stopped trying to understand it. You stopped trying to win it, to capture it, to make it yours. You came here without ambition, without the need to prove yourself, without the hunger for victory that has driven you your entire life. He placed a hand on Bruce's shoulder, a gesture so rare that Bruce could count on one hand the number of times it had happened. When you left Hong Kong, you were my student. Talented, yes. Dedicated, certainly, but still seeking, still needing to prove that you were worthy. He paused, and his voice softened. Now you have returned, and you're no longer seeking. You're no longer trying to prove anything. You came here to learn, not to win, to remember, not to demonstrate. His hand tightened slightly on Bruce's shoulder. Now we are equal. The words hit Bruce like a physical force. His eyes filled with tears that he did not try to hide. Sifu, I could never be your equal. Everything I am, everything I've built, it all comes from what you gave me. And everything I hope to pass on, you have carried further than I ever imagined. Ip Man smiled. A real smile, the smile of a teacher who has seen his life's work fulfilled. A master is not diminished when his student becomes his equal. He is completed. This is the purpose of teaching. Not to create followers, but to create equals. Not to build a legacy, but to make the legacy unnecessary. He released Bruce's shoulder and stepped back. You asked me to teach you, but you do not need teaching anymore. What you need is what you found in the last 10 seconds. The willingness to be empty. The courage to stop winning. The humility to return to the beginning even when you have traveled so far. I will always need you, Sifu. No, you will always carry me. That is different. When I am gone, and I will be gone soon. My body tells me this clearly. You will not need me because I will be inside you. Every technique, every principle, every moment we shared. You are my continuation. You are what I leave behind. Bruce wiped his eyes. The movie star, the fighter, the legend, all of it had dissolved. What remained was simply a man, standing before the person who had shaped him, understanding for the first time what that shaping had meant. What do I do now, Sifu? How do I carry this forward? You do what you have always done. You teach. You create. You share what you have learned with anyone hungry enough to receive it. But now you do it without the need for recognition, without the hunger for victory. You do it because teaching is its own reward, because passing on what was given to you is the only real immortality any of us achieve. They stood in silence for a long moment. Master and student. Equals. Will you train with me? Bruce finally asked. Not to teach me, just to move together. One more time. Ip Man nodded. And for the next hour, in a small apartment in Hong Kong, two masters moved together. Not fighting, not demonstrating, just flowing. Two expressions of the same art, different in style, but identical in spirit. When it was over, Bruce bowed again. The same deep bow he had given when he arrived, but it felt different now. Not the bow of a student to a master, the bow of one equal to another. Thank you, Sifu, for everything, for the beginning, for the middle, for this. Thank you, Bruce, for becoming what I always knew you could become, for proving that what I gave my life to was worth giving. Bruce walked to the door. He paused, looking back one final time. I will see you again. Perhaps. Perhaps not. But it does not matter. What needed to happen between us has happened. We are complete. Bruce nodded, and then he was gone, walking down the stairs of the small building, out into the streets of Hong Kong, carrying something that would stay with him for the rest of his life. The knowledge that he was no longer seeking. The peace that came from being truly seen by the one person whose opinion had always mattered most. The equality that his master had given him as a final gift. Ip Man died in December 1972. Bruce Lee died 7 months later. Neither lived to see the full impact of what they had created together. But the teaching survived. In every martial artist who traces their lineage back to Wing Chun. In every student who learns that the goal is not to win, but to learn. In every moment when someone stops seeking and simply becomes. Now we are equal. For words that contain everything a teacher hopes to give. Everything a student hopes to become. Everything that passes between generations when the transmission is complete. What would it mean for you to hear those words? From a parent, from a mentor, from whoever shaped you into who you are. Not, I am proud of you, though that matters. Not, you have exceeded my expectations, though that is beautiful too. But, now we are equal. The recognition that you have arrived, that the hierarchy has dissolved, that what was given has been fully received and transformed into something new. Bruce Lee sought that recognition his entire life. From Hollywood, from critics, from audiences around the world. He found it in a small apartment in Hong Kong, in 10 seconds of empty movement, in the eyes of an old man who saw him completely. Thank you for watching. Thank you for witnessing the moment when the dragon returned to the source. If this story moved you, please subscribe. I'm not here to win. Teach me. These are the words that open every door worth opening. These are the words that transform students into equals. These are the words that Bruce Lee spoke, and that Ip Man answered with 4 words of his own. Now we are equal. May someone say that to you someday, and may you become the kind of person who deserves to hear it.